Behind every legendary historical epic lies a fascinating gap between reality and the version that audiences remember forever. Few films demonstrate this better than Braveheart, a movie that captured hearts around the world while taking some remarkable liberties with the past. What emerged wasn't a history lesson, but a larger-than-life legend that continues to shape how millions of people view medieval Scotland. One of the most surprising facts about the film is how thoroughly it transformed public perception of William Wallace. Before the movie's release, Wallace was certainly respected in Scotland, but internationally he wasn't nearly as recognizable as he would become afterward. The film elevated him from an important historical figure into a global symbol of freedom, courage, and resistance against oppression. The movie's most memorable images helped create that mythology. The painted faces, flowing kilts, and dramatic battlefield speeches became instantly iconic. Yet many of these elements belonged to different periods of Scottish history or were created entirely for cinematic effect. The filmmakers weren't trying to produce a museum exhibit. Their goal was to create an emotional experience that audiences would never forget. That approach worked spectacularly well. Decades after its release, people still quote lines from the film and recognize scenes after only a few seconds. Many viewers are surprised to learn that some of the most famous moments have little connection to documented historical events. The legendary speeches, for example, were crafted specifically for the screenplay. Since very few records survive detailing exactly what Wallace may have said to his troops, the writers had considerable freedom to imagine words that would resonate with modern audiences. The battles themselves represent another fascinating blend of reality and invention. Medieval warfare was often determined by strategy, terrain, and logistics. Real commanders relied on careful planning as much as bravery. On screen, however, battles become sweeping spectacles filled with thunderous charges, dramatic duels, and unforgettable visuals. While historians might debate the accuracy, there's no denying the excitement these sequences generated. Creating those scenes required enormous effort behind the camera. Thousands of performers participated in large-scale battle reenactments, transforming open landscapes into convincing medieval battlefields. The sheer scale of the production helped give the film an epic feeling that many historical movies struggle to achieve. One of the production's greatest strengths was its commitment to practical filmmaking. Long before digital effects became the industry standard, filmmakers relied on real locations, real crowds, and practical stunts. This approach gave the movie a sense of weight and authenticity. When armies clash on screen, viewers can feel the physical presence of hundreds of people moving together. Of course, practical filmmaking also came with challenges. Coordinating massive battle scenes required incredible planning. Costumes had to be maintained, weapons prepared, and performers positioned precisely. Even small mistakes could become noticeable once the cameras started rolling. Like many ambitious productions, the film ended up containing a few amusing continuity errors that eagle-eyed fans continue to spot years later. Some of the most interesting stories involve the unexpected problems that arise during filming. Animals, weather conditions, and difficult terrain all created obstacles for the production team. Horses don't always cooperate with scripts, and outdoor filming rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Yet many of these challenges contributed to the movie's rugged and realistic atmosphere. The landscapes featured throughout the film also played a major role in its success. Rolling hills, ancient castles, and dramatic countryside provided a perfect backdrop for the story. These locations helped create a believable medieval world, transporting audiences to a distant era of conflict and ambition. The scenery became so closely associated with Scotland that many viewers assumed every frame had been filmed there. In reality, filmmaking often involves practical decisions that audiences never consider. Producers must balance budgets, logistics, and available resources while trying to maintain the illusion of authenticity. What matters most is whether viewers believe the world they see on screen, and in this case they absolutely did. Another reason the film left such a lasting impression was its emotional storytelling. Historical events can sometimes feel distant and abstract, but the movie focused on personal struggles, sacrifice, loyalty, and the desire for freedom. These universal themes helped audiences connect with characters regardless of their knowledge of Scottish history. That emotional focus occasionally meant simplifying complex historical realities. Real political conflicts are rarely divided into heroes and villains. Medieval rulers faced complicated decisions, competing interests, and constantly shifting alliances. The film streamlined many of these complexities into a more accessible narrative that audiences could easily follow. Whether that approach improves or harms historical storytelling remains a subject of debate. Historians often criticize inaccuracies, while many film fans argue that emotional truth matters more than strict factual precision. The discussion itself has become part of the movie's legacy. Few historical films have inspired as much curiosity about the real events behind the story. Countless viewers have gone on to read books, visit historical sites, and explore Scottish history after watching the movie. In that sense, even its inaccuracies sometimes served a positive purpose by encouraging people to learn more about the past. The cultural impact extended far beyond movie theaters. Tourism connected to Scottish history experienced significant growth as travelers sought to visit landmarks associated with Wallace and the era depicted on screen. Historical monuments attracted new generations of visitors eager to experience the places connected to the legend. Perhaps the most remarkable achievement of the film is how it transformed a medieval conflict into a universally understood story about identity, determination, and resilience. Audiences across different countries and cultures found something meaningful in its themes. The movie spoke to emotions that transcend historical details. Today, years after its original release, Braveheart remains one of the most discussed historical epics ever made. Some viewers celebrate its inspirational storytelling. Others focus on its departures from historical fact. Yet both sides agree on one thing: the film left an undeniable mark on popular culture. Its enduring popularity proves that audiences don't always remember movies because they are perfectly accurate. Sometimes they remember them because they make people feel something powerful. Through unforgettable performances, breathtaking scenery, and emotionally charged storytelling, the film created a version of history that became legendary in its own right. Whether viewed as a historical drama, an action epic, or a modern myth inspired by real events, the movie continues to captivate audiences around the world. And perhaps that lasting fascination is the most remarkable story of all, a film that transformed centuries-old history into a cultural phenomenon that still sparks conversation, debate, and admiration to this day.